Hello guys, welcome back to another video. I guess I'm back doing more videos than I actually expected me to do, but I'll do this video. We'll see. This is my world predictions, I guess. Alternative future, I guess, of the world. Let's hop in, I guess. The point of this series is to just explore what the future could be in a different scenario. I guess we're gonna go off of today's world climate and see what happens. Let's just get started. So the main country focus is going to be this guy. This guy. Yeah, that guy's acting up, but let's see what happens when he goes on his instinct and does something crazy. So, we got the United States going to war with, alongside Israel against Palestine. Now this is a very controversial war, but this is if he follows his word. Yeah. They get wiped out, no doubt about it. But here's where everything gets complicated. After Gaza gets wiped out, what happens next? You would think that the Middle Eastern countries would form a coalition. I believe that could be so. I mean, all these countries do not really like the fact that the Americans are here. So we got a decent coalition. Now, could they win this war? It's basically just kicking them out. Let's see. Historically, Israel has had success, but modern times, I don't think they could really beat this coalition. Yeah, they're gonna get wiped out. And this is where the Americans are like, okay, let's get our forces in here, so they get and prepare a big invasion. I feel like they could push out and stretch out, but beyond this, I don't think it's that reasonable. Now, the United States, it's a really good military power, like the #1, arguably. It just depends how motivated the troops are and all. But they've had a lot of success in the Middle East before and a lot of defeats in the Middle East before. So, yeah. This will just be them trying to hold this position because they're going to be more well defended than the US would have thought. So eventually, this will take months, but they'd push the US back even further. Now, this war the only real point of this war is just everybody's wearing down each other's militaries. There's no actual good reason for this war in general. But after, 1 or 2 years of fighting, they could probably get the Americans back out. The Americans will give them a really good fight, don't get me wrong, but over a long period of time, I don't think they're gonna get anywhere. So let's see what the peace deal should look like. This is going to be interesting, considering that nobody in the Middle East really likes Israel at all. So let's see how bad Israel's going to get messed up. First of all, Palestine needs to at least connect its territories. So these borders are the minimal borders needed for Palestine. And now Israel's split in two. Now, I do feel like Palestine deserves that land. The borders are a bit weird because they're straight. I will try to curve the borders a little bit. It's hard in here because of how narrow it is. We'll say it gets split between Egypt, so Egypt gets some. Now, this could just go back to the default borders before the war, but I want to do something different and get new borders, get new politics, stuff like that. Syria will get some, and then Lebanon will get some. Now, everyone has a chunk of that pie in there. So now Palestine just really grew up, and the Americans are like, dang, we got our butts handed to us. What will we do now? Here's where I go, like, there's two ways that this could go. Way #1 is where the Americans are like, we got defeated? Hell nah, we need to figure this military stuff out. Which is a very real possibility. I mean, look at how the Americans have been acting in world history. It would make perfect sense for them to go and be all crazy about their military once again. But I do feel like the US would have a really bad economy, which is going to lead it, possibly, to an economic, collapse. Something unseen since the Great Depression. And I've seen some images of prices, egg prices being $15. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but that's no good price for eggs. So, with a war defeat, the economy might go even worse. Because we don't know how well the tariffs are going with other countries. I'm going to assume that they tariff back and it's just, yeah, the states are secluding their economy and they are getting really weak. Or weaker. They're not that weak, but they're dropping in power. Note that. They are dropping in power. This is like the Roman Empire. We know they will collapse, it's just a time of when. When will the US collapse? It might take a long time, let's look at the Roman Empire, but hey, it's gonna be lunchtime for other countries. So I guess the US will be put on the sideline while they figure that stuff out. What other wars are there? Well, an interesting war that I know absolutely nothing about is this war. I don't know who started what, but that's what I think the war is. Now I got no clue. But let's see what I think was happening. Now, correct me all you want in the comments. I have no idea about what's going on in this war. I just know that there's a war here. So, I think it's around there with the borders. Rwanda's just doing a lot of work, more than you would expect. I'll say that they move out and down to the river. I don't believe they can do anything more than this. Let's be honest. They're Rwanda. Look at them. Look at the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This, what I have now in red, is a pipe dream. At least I believe so. I guess that's just going to be a quick thing. Let's see how the borders will change. I'm not sure how agreeable they will be for new borders, but I gotta remember to have some squigglies in there. That's a new border. I'm not sure if you guys like these borders that I've been doing, but I'm trying my hardest. So now they grew, Rwanda grew. They didn't gain that much. I don't expect them to gain anything really from this war, but this series is going off of changing borders. That's just how the series is gonna work. So we will have that go on here. Now up to the war that's been covered a billion gazillion times, Russia-Ukraine. How will this play out in this timeline? Let's get the front line update. I don't know where the front line's at currently. The news doesn't cover it that much. I think it's around here as of recently, roughly around this. And I believe that Ukraine is doing a little something up there. Okay, this seems like a good estimate, I think. So, Russia and Ukraine. I feel like the Russian economy is going to absolutely shatter, especially if the US imposes tariffs. So it's the US and Russia, they're basically competing to see who can get a worse economy. I mean, the US doesn't have that bad of an economy, but it's certainly going down. In this series, at least. It might not, they might recover in real life, but yeah, let's see. If Ukraine puts in a lot of work, they might be able to do better on that offensive. And here's where the borders will be before you guess it. Everybody's like, okay, stop this. If Russia, if you don't negotiate with a peace deal, we will form a coalition against you. Now, they would use nuclear threats here, I'm almost certain, but let's be honest. I don't think he wants to kill himself. That might be a harsh observation, but I don't think he wants to murder all the Russians. So I think we just need to call the bluff. Belarus will join Russia, and everybody surrounding Russia wants to help out. Moldova, Romania, I guess, too. Yeah. I guess Finland will want a piece of that pie. So, let's see. Will they be able to beat up Russia? That is the question. Kaliningrad? Yeah, they're not keeping that. Belarus's military is not that good, at least compared to these countries. Now, the Russians could flood in and stop and plug the front line there. But they are dealing with a whole nother front. So the Finnish will go and take control of all this land. Now, that is a huge blow to the Russians. But it's very easy for the Finnish to get as long as they can push to like a railroad system, I believe. So I believe they will manage to push down a significant amount before the Russians come and try to plug that front as well. Let's be honest. Look at Russia here. They aren't gonna be winning much. So I guess they could fight for a while, but eventually Putin might get assassinated here, and a negotiated peace deal must be made. Let's see what the peace deal will be. This is just my rough estimate. Okay, let's be honest. Russia has used Kaliningrad as a weapon, so I feel like they would get split between Poland and Lithuania. Boom. There we go. Now what happens around Ukraine? I want to make this clear that this Crimea is Ukrainian. Now I feel like they could get minor border expansion around there. I think the borders would want to look different though. I'm guessing that they want border expansion in a few places, but we'll give them this much land for their victory. Now Ukraine might have a crisis after this war. Their leader is no longer really needed that much, so Ukraine might just go into the process of getting new leaders, stuff like that. They need to really work on getting... Ukraine needs to work on their government. Because, let's be honest, the government doesn't look too hot in Ukraine. I could go into these politics all day long, but I don't think it would go anywhere. Let's see the other fronts. Finland. What does Finland get from this? Finland has been subjected to the Russians for a while, so I do believe that they'd go and get what they deserve. This is going to be a Mega Finland. For you Finnish enjoyers, here you go, Mega Finland. This is... Now, if you're wondering why these borders are looking so straight here, that's roughly around where the front line was, which is what they're going off of for the border. Now, in the future, this could be renegotiated, the borders might be redrawn. Let's hope that the borders get redrawn in a future episode, because these borders, not so good. What happens to Belarus? I do believe that Belarus will get partitioned. The Russians will also get a large amount of Belarus. As well, they're pretty Russian. So, if they're gonna be mean to Russia, they're at least gonna be mean to Russia, right? Poland is getting a lot from this series so far. If Ukraine gets that, man, these borders are already getting really wacky. And this is still episode 1, keep in mind. These borders don't look that bad, but let me know down in the comments if I need to readjust these borders. I know right here, that's not good border. There, that's not good border. Although it does follow this, that's still not good border, I believe. Let me know down in the comments if I need to improve on these borders. Let me know. So, what happens to the Russian government? Well, it's going to be a democracy. Duh. Let's be honest, it's always going to be a democracy. What else would it be? So, what other conflicts do I need to investigate? I'm not sure. Let me think of it for a minute. Okay, for the last conflict for this first episode, let's go down to Africa. This might be known as the Water War. So basically, Ethiopia and Egypt and everybody, they can't really agree on much. They don't want to get along. Let's go. I think it's Ethiopia that might declare war on Sudan and Egypt. They might get support from South Sudan. I'll keep it at this. Let's see how this war can play out. Note that South Sudan is not powerful at all. In Ethiopia, they have a little bit of might. But overall, I believe that the blue side has the upper hand in this war. But do note, Sudan would be already getting rebellions, so maybe this is like a tied up scenario thing. Let's see. As the Egyptian troops come on down, they help Sudan try to suppress this rebellion. But you know, the front line starts to open up. The Ethiopians would start pushing as well. And it's basically they need to go in on suppressing the rebellion and fighting back against the Ethiopians. I do feel like they could do some defensives, but this might just be a years-long war, let's be honest. A war like this is common. It'll either end in like 1 year or end in like 20 years or something. It's hard to predict exactly, but it all depends on if they anger any other countries, but we'll say that we give them the upper hand here, the blue team. So I guess they'll be able to suppress this front and try to push into South Sudan. Now this would be like hard for them to do, obviously, but I don't think they can really push out Ethiopia just yet, unless they have rebellions, but they can certainly beat up South Sudan to flank them. Well, it depends on how many troops the blue team has as well. So this could just be the front line for the whole decade, who knows. But I do believe that they will negotiate a peace deal, because I'm all about negotiating peace deals here. That's like a major thing. I went a bit too harsh on my undo, it seems. Let me just fix that right up. Let's go down here. Okay, everything looks to be normal. I think Ethiopia might get some land around there, and maybe around there. But otherwise, the rest is going to be just absorbed into Sudan. So these are the new borders in Africa. These are going to be the new borders in the world. So yeah, what do you think about this series? Should I continue it? What do you want from this series? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys in another video. Goodbye.